Good, happy Thursday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast. Let's get started. First up, 2 men shot after burglary at Manchester home. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9.
The owner of this home on Belgrade Street in Manchester told police he was shaken after 2 men broke into his house armed with a gun.
Officers arrived on scene and they ended up speaking to the homeowner,
who told police he was just arriving home from work when he spotted 2 men running out his front door. Police say the men ransacked the home before leaving.
His kids were home at the time. He saw 2 masked men armed with a handgun fleeing the area, running towards Candy Road.
The homeowner drove after the 2 men. That's when police say shots were fired. 1 bullet going through the homeowner's windshield, narrowly missing him. Right now, police are looking for the 2 men, but don't have a lot of details about their appearances.
One was described as an African-American male. The other was described as a Hispanic male. Both had their faces covered with masks. So the descriptions are vague at this point, and until the reports are completed, I really have no further information.
Police do believe this was an isolated incident and the public is not at risk.
Fortunately, the kids were unharmed. Fortunately, he was unharmed when he chased after the assailants. So, at this point in time, I guess everybody is lucky to be here. No one's harmed, and at the end of the day, everyone's safe.
The investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information on who these 2 men might be are asked to call Manchester Police. Live in studio, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that report. Sununu sworn in as New Hampshire's new governor. Let's take a listen to this video. Good, happy Thursday, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to my news report right here on the Riley King Network. Let's get started. First up, Sununu, sworn in as New Hampshire's governor, says priorities include drug crisis. New Hampshire's new governor, Chris Sununu, says his top priorities are curbing the state's drug abuse crisis, addressing workforce and economic challenges, controlling rising healthcare and energy costs, and improving education. The 42-year-old Republican was sworn into office Thursday following in the footsteps of his father, John H. Sununu. With Republicans leading the House and Senate, Sununu's inauguration marks the first return to full GOP control in Concord since 2004. Sununu says despite the 2-year election cycle, he wants to change the mindset in Concord and called for long-term thinking and planning. He said no one in the state has been untouched by the drug crisis and repeated his calls for aggressive prevention programs in schools, expanding recovery programs, and ensuring that law enforcement and first responders get the support they need. And that does it for my news report right here on the Riley King Network. I'm Riley King for the Riley King Network. Have a great rest of your Thursday, everyone. Okay, and there you go on that report. MBTA to part ways with commuter rail operator kilos after contract. The MBTA does not plan to extend the contract of the company that operates its commuter rail, according to State House News Service. Transportation Secretary Stephanie Polak said Thursday that the state will allow the agency's contract with Kilos to expire when it ends in June of 2022. The contract was signed when Deval Patrick was still the governor of Massachusetts. It is worth $2.69 billion with a two-year operations to extend. Current Governor Charlie Baker's administration has since investigated concerns about the MBTA commuter rail. In a letter to Strauss, Polak said she shares many of his concerns about the contract and Kilos' performance. Kilos was awarded an 8-year, nearly $2.7 billion contract by the MBTA in 2014 to run the 394-mile commuter rail system. The company is a subsidiary of French group Kilos International. Kilos has reported losing more than $40 million over the first 18 months of the contract. Internal officials warned about skepticism from the top. Let's take a listen to this video from ABC News.
It's just a cough.
If you could see your cough, you'd see just how far it can spread. Robitussin DM Max is now better tasting with the same fast, powerful cough relief. Robitussin DM Max, because it's never just a cough.
Top intelligence officials came to the White House Thursday, presenting their comprehensive report on Russia's election cyber attack, what it did, and how.
The president has also directed the intelligence community to make as much of the information that's included in the report public, because it's important for the American people to understand that it's our democracy that has been interfered with.
On Capitol Hill, overwhelming bipartisan agreement with the intelligence community's conclusion that Russia was behind the cyber attack, putting lawmakers at odds with President-elect Donald Trump. On Wednesday, Trump tweeted WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange's claim that Russia didn't give him the hacked DNC emails. But today, the president-elect said he wasn't in agreement with Assange and called himself a big fan of the intelligence community. That embrace of the fugitive hacker, seemingly over the intelligence community, drew attention from lawmakers.
It made me mad, quite frankly, that the president-elect would embrace anything Julian Assange said.
Senator John McCain asking specifically about Assange.
Do you think that there's any credibility we should attach to this individual, given his record of
Not in my view.
Senator Tim Kaine, Hillary Clinton's running mate, brought up another aspect of Russia's election interference.
You know, I had a little role in this election. I was along for the ride for 105 days and was the subject of a couple of fake news stories.
Director of National Intelligence James Clapper says hacking was just one part of Russia's multifaceted campaign that also included propaganda and misinformation. Donald Trump receives his own briefing on the report on Friday. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Okay, and there you go on that report. Breaking news. Samsung Electronics say Q4 revenue likely at 53 trillion won returns. Samsung Electronics say Q4 2024 revenue likely at 53 trillion won. Paul Ryan, GOP will defund Planned Parenthood. Let's take a listen to this video from CNN.
Planned Parenthood had its beginnings in 1916 when reproductive rights advocate Margaret Sanger opened up the nation's first birth control clinic in Brooklyn. She was soon thrown in jail for distributing obscene material. Today, Planned Parenthood says they're the largest provider of reproductive health services in the United States, with more than 700 centers serving more than 2.5 million patients a year. The largest portion of their medical services is screening and treating sexually transmitted diseases. They also offer prenatal care services, breast care services, and more. In 2013, the organization performed nearly 328,000 abortions. This accounted for 3% of all the services they provided, according to the group's annual report. The report also says that Planned Parenthood received more than $500 million in federal funding in 2013. None of that money is legally supposed to be spent on abortion services. That year, Planned Parenthood received more than $250 million in private donations and made more than $300 million on their healthcare services. The group has come under fire recently after an anti-abortion group secretly taped Planned Parenthood executives allegedly discussing the sale of fetal tissue.
I would say it's probably anywhere from $30 to $100, depending on the facility and what's involved.
Planned Parenthood no longer accepts financial reimbursement for fetal tissue. These are the facts about Planned Parenthood, but opinions on both sides of the aisle about the organization will continue to make Planned Parenthood a controversial topic during the upcoming election.
Okay, and there you go on that report. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday night. I'll see you back here for your 8 p.m. news and weather. Good night, everyone. Bye.